It is.
When my house, my electricity, everything over there is in my name, but they wouldn't let me take my granddaughter. But they took my money, what money I had, and took my granddaughter to the carnival. And she asked me if I would go ride on some rides, because
Was there nobody take you up there either?
nobody took me up there. But my says, Grandma's scared to ride some of those rides with me. And I said, Grandpa ain't scared for nothing.
Yeah.
I'm saying, Grandpa will take you on anything.
Yeah.
And he said, well, did you go? I said, yes, I'll go with you. And they took her up there without me.
All you can do is enjoy the time you got with them.
But
Well, you know what, they'll be grown.
They don't, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, my only daughter is pregnant again by this dude that overdosed on methadone. You know what I'm saying? And there's a big controversy on where he got it. Well, they'll find out where he got it when the chick that he got it off of goes back in to get some more and find out that she didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What's the matter, Blake?
A little bit of a headache. I need to take a couple
You take some ibuprofen. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you ought to see how white your face got when you got up. It was bright red, wasn't it? You got up and it got white, didn't it?
So was you ever in the military or anything?
Air Force.
Air Force.
But I got a dishonorable discharge. Got caught with heroin.
Dang it. Well, you was there.
Yeah. Yeah. I got right in the tail of Vietnam, man.
Dang it.
Yeah.
I hear lots of stories about Vietnam.
Yeah, well, a lot of it was true, man. A lot of unnecessary deaths, and a lot of addicts come out of heroin. I mean, come out of Vietnam, man.
I bet. Just trying to drown out the memories.
Well, it was just, you didn't know who you were fighting. Little kids coming up with you, throwing grenades at you and shit, you know what I'm saying? I mean, little kids, like them boys right there, you know what I'm saying? They were all the enemy, and they didn't know any better. They were just doing what they were told by their parents or whoever was controlling them, you know what I'm saying? Come up with you and killing themselves, walking up with you and pulling it and trying to hand it to you. You know what I'm saying? It was terrible, man. It was terrible. But I caught right in the tail end of it. You know what I'm saying? But I got stuck on that damn heroin, man. You know, well, everybody, when you're seeing something like that, it really does a toll to your mind, and well, look, I don't even have no vein there, you know what I'm saying? They wiped me out, man.
Dang it.
You know, I mean, you can imagine, right? You know, it just kids sacrificing themselves for nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was nothing. It was North against South. You know what I'm saying? That's all it was. And they had no ruler. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was nothing. It was for nothing. It was just totally idiotic, man. It was just crazy. You know? And like, it's like you see in this stuff, racial stuff, it's the same thing, you know? It's nothing.
Yeah.
But that's what they're doing. And they're going around pop-shotting, standing in windows, pop-shotting people and shit for nothing. You know what I'm saying? They're not gaining anything out of it or anything, but that's what's happening right here in the U.S.
You know,
for
and
nothing.
a lot of people think it's a black-white thing. It's a culture.
It's exactly.
Is all it is.
Exactly. It's
just a culture difference.
It's like where I lived up there was a black bar in this town, in Wagner. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's a little town. Okay, there's a black bar here, and everybody says, don't you dare go in there, you know what I'm saying? Don't you dare. I'd walk right in there, you know what I'm saying? And I'd deal drugs to them, you know what I'm saying? And they'd like me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I could go in there anytime, and they'd go in there, and they'd close the front at 1 o'clock. But the back was still open back there, and I'd be back there shooting dice with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with color. It had to do with respect. You know what I'm saying? And
it's all about where you came from.
Exactly. It's because they were frightened. You know what I'm saying? I said, I ain't scared of nothing. What am I gonna do? Die? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know. And this one dude could come and started hanging with me, but they wouldn't let him come in there because they knew that he was inside. He was chicken shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could tell when a man stand over in the corner going like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I go in there and shoot dice with him and stuff. You know, and
Where is Wagner? I've heard of it. I just don't know where it's at.
Let's see. It's, you know where Muskogee is?
Yes.
Okay, it's not that far from Muskogee. Going, I think, north. It's not 20, 30 miles from Muskogee. You know what I'm saying?
I came through Muskogee to get here. I might have passed by it somewhere in there.
Well, they got them new bypasses and stuff, and they bypassed Wagner. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a little rinky-dink town or something. But it's right on Grand Lake is right there by it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Actually, I lived right there on the lake, 2 blocks. There was a row of houses right by the lake. You know, probably 100 yards from the lake, and then the next row, I lived on the next row of houses, you know what I'm saying?
Well, not to change the subject, but I remember what you said, that you had a 79?
Yeah, 79, which...
What was it?
It was a 1000, and it had a starter on it. It didn't have no kickstart on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a Kickstarter, one of them old big ones that come up. I can't remember what it was off of, but it was about that long. You know what I'm saying? And I drilled it out and took all the pieces and put a Kickstarter on it. And people couldn't figure out what it was. You know what I'm saying? Because it didn't have a come out with no electric start.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like I said, then I lowered it and put extended front. I put 4 over on the front and shit.
Raked it out.
And put pull backs on it. And people couldn't figure out what it was. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, they'd look at it and go, what the hell is that? But then I put those 5-gallon fat bobs on it. You know what I'm saying? They really couldn't figure out what it was. You know what I'm saying? And
what kind of bike was it?
It was Harley.
Harley-Davidson,
yes. They couldn't figure out. And like I said, I took them 5-gallon fat bobs, and they were crushed in on one side. You know what I'm saying? What it is, somebody had let it fall over. You know what I'm saying? And mashed it, and they tried to Bondo it, and made a terrible job.
Yeah.
So I removed all that Bondo, and plugged it up. Took air pressure, blew it out.
Popped it back out.
Popped most of it back out, and then when I couldn't, I bonded it back up and did it up, and
hey, get over here.
And then primered them red. You know that red.
Stay in the yard, please.
You lost it. Where's my lid? Trying to sneak around. And then I just primer that red, reddish colored primer. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only thing I hadn't done was paint it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got it all ready to paint and stuff and hadn't painted it.
79 Harley, 1,000 cc's.
Bullboard out to 1,200. Yeah, I did. I didn't do the boring, but I did. A guy bored it for me, but I did all the mechanical work.
Where's my daddy?
He's in there in the
house.
bathroom.
Doing what?
I don't know.
We didn't ask him what he was going to do in the bathroom. Hey, would you do me a favor? Would you throw that in the trash for me, please? I didn't want to throw it in the yard. Would you put it in the trash, please? Thank you very much. But there's a dude down there who has a shop in Wagner named Sonny Cycles, you know what I'm saying? And I'd go in there and mess with him and everything, and he did some nice custom work, you know what I'm saying? He really did. But he was semi-cop, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I just went in there, and so I just seen what he was doing and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I learned a lot of little tricks and stuff of how he did stuff, which sometimes was half-assed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But anyway, he sold a lot of bikes and stuff and stuff. But he would order.
those?
Boy, I appreciate it. He would order and then you got a light?
Yep.
He would order and then he would modify them. You know what I'm saying? But he thought he was the king down there. And I know old guys, you know, out in the middle of nowhere that do better job. You know what I'm saying? But he did show. He did have a good painter. You know what I'm saying? He did do some good custom painting. And but I'd sit in there and stuff with him and see some of his stuff. And but see, at that time, I had a garage full of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Of stuff that I'd collected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, stuff. And it's like this one dude. I used to dabble in other things, and this dude owed me a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Well, and he had an old Virago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Well, that had been wrecked. Well,
When was this? What year was that?
Oh, this is back in the late 80s, early 90s.
I got you.
And I went up there and I took his TV, anything that was worth anything,
Yeah.
this old Virago and whatever, and put it in this old 72 Ford car that he had and loaded it all up and took everything. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He owed me a pretty good chunk of money. And anyway, took all this stuff and then took pieces of Virago and everything, and anyway, and built another motorcycle and sold it. You know what I'm saying? And come to find out, he had 2 or 3 titles to motorcycles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And but I didn't. Anyway, I wound up selling them to this guy that had that motorcycle shop, the titles. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's how good a ex-police cop or whatever he was. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying, how people are and stuff. But this dude, I gave him 6 months on 2 weeks. 2 weeks he's going to have my money. Gave him 6 months and he still didn't have my money. So I went and loaded up all this stuff and took it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Repossessed.
More or less. And I hated to because he was a friend of mine. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Friendships go so far. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when it comes to money, man needs money. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it was just crazy. Boy, you're drinking that down.
You gonna have to go pee.
Look at that belly sticking out there already.
Show your belly.
Now, don't do this real hard. No, don't do that. You'll have to go straight to the bathroom. Did you find your daddy?
Eating dinner.
He's eating dinner.
Mhm.
Well, did you eat?
No.
How come?
I don't
Because he's
want.
full of soda pop.
That's right. You drank that whole quart there.
I am.
And then in a little while you go, Daddy, I'm hungry. He said, well, you had your chance.
He's right, you know.
Yep. You ought to be like me after eat TV dinners. I've ate so many TV dinners. Look, I'm blowing antennas out the top of my head right here.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, she's got me on those, instead of cooking for me, she's got me those meals
Yeah.
that are frozen. And I was in jail in Fort Smith one time and they fed you TV dinner. And that's all you got. Well, I was growing antennas out of my head. I ate so many TV dinners. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And I don't do them. And plus I got a microwave that doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? Where it should take 5 minutes, it takes 35 minutes.
Dang it.
You know what I mean? And then cut into the meat and it's still cold inside. And I can't do that, man. And why should a 58-year-old man have to eat cold meals? And instead, they got over
Step
there.
on it.
Over there, they're tied into my electricity and everything, and they got propane and shit over there, which they buy with my money, and they eat good hot meals over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, it sucks. I mean, it sucks.
How long you been living over there?
Almost 4 years. For the last almost year and a half, she's been living in that trailer back there with him. And last I knew, that's adultery. Isn't it?
You think so?
How did you get over here all by yourself?
No, I had a ghost push me over here.
A ghost?
Yeah, I have a ghost friend. Of course I got over here by myself. You know I come over here all the time.
Oh.
With one leg. Don't underestimate the power of the handicap.
There's an HD router in the future.
Exactly.
I can't feel I'm stuck.
That's good.
You need a motor.
That's right. About a 50 cc. No, that'd kill him.
I think I was about 7 when I got mine. Yeah, it might have been 8.
I was a teenager because I couldn't. I ran away from home when I was 14. You know what I'm saying? And I went to Florida because my uncle go down there every year and pick oranges. You know what I'm saying? And I went down there with this other guy that later turned out to be a queer, but he never did nothing like that with me. But you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
he had an old '67 Chevy. Anyway, we all loaded up, and he had, my uncle had 11 kids, and go down there and pick oranges. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and he had a special guy down there, and it was like an abandoned house, 2-story house, and went down there and didn't have no windows or nothing in it, but they plastic all the windows and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was a huge orchard, man. I don't know, maybe 100 acres or something like that. And we would wipe that sucker out in no time, you know, with all them kids and everything. And they would bring crates out there about, I don't know, they were about 8 by 8 by 4 foot tall. And we would just pick them oranges and put them in, and then they'd bring a truck out there and zip it up and set them on there, you know what I'm saying? And man, we would pick some oranges, you know what I'm saying?
That's some orange juice
And
there.
a lot of people don't know that orange trees got thorns on them. I don't know if you knew it or not, but they do. So you have to be careful, you know what I'm saying?
They got them shakers now, just shake the fruit
right,
off of it.
yeah. But you got to shake up in them. But back then, in an orange, you can't pull an orange off. You got to snap it.
Oh,
You know
okay.
what I'm saying? Damn wrist is sore. You snap them off, you know what I'm saying? Snap them and then put them in a bag because they bruise if they hit, you know what I'm saying? According to if you're picking them for juice, they don't mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if you're picking them for market,
Yeah.
you have to put them in a bag. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, it's crazy.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. And like I said, a lot of people don't know that. But anyway, we did this for about 6 months. You know what I'm saying? To do this one, it was way over 200 acres. You know what I'm saying? So then me and this dude decided to take off, and we moved to Sarasota, Florida. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
I've only been to Florida one time. It was Tampa.
Tampa,
Yeah.
that's a big city,
Yeah.
and anything goes in
I
that
remember I just thought it was strange because I went there and of course the beaches are all white sand.
Yep.
It's like snow.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And everybody had sunscreen on the bottom of their nose right here.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out why.
Because it bounced off of that
Yeah,
sand.
until later that night, the bottom of my nose was off.
Yeah, going, oh, yeah. But I went to work in a...
You're going to throw a bear in or something here in a second.
Yeah, right.
Hey, how do you make the sound? How do you make...
Huh?
You got any more beer?
Yeah.
Just making sure.
You're making a sound,
You're
man.
drinking
No,
Pepsis.
I'm not. What? How do you make the sound?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Hair of the dog.
Huh?
Hair of the
They're
dog.
the dog that bit you, man. See, I take them blood thinners, and
Hey, how do you do it?
like your blood coagulates at 10, mine coagulates at 4. If I cut my wrist, I'd bleed to death before you could get me there on that motorcycle.
Daddy?
Dang it.
That's how thin my blood is.
Ugh.
I started to say, there's your car.
Who? He walked all the way to Grandma's house.
Who did?
My daddy.
He did. Well, I'm gonna...
He really did. Your
Boy,
shoes
you
can
took
get
long.
burned.
Oh, I guess I fluid my car for my car.
How
Oh,
do
his car's
I
sitting right
go?
there.
What's the matter with you?
Yeah, he wants to make his bike sound like that. But he's scared of it. See, it sounds like that.
What's the matter with it?
That won't fix it.
What's the matter with it?
How do you fix it like
Is
yours?
it supposed to make a different
How you fix
sound?
it like yours.
I want it to.
I think it doesn't have any buttons on there. That's it.
That's it. Pretty loud, man.
So you're hitting 10 grand right there is what it's saying.
Yeah.
See that RPM gauge? You gotta keep it between 2 and 3. 10's bad.
Yeah. That'll bring the police down on you.
Yeah.
We got a highway patrol and a city cop lives in the area.
What's
like they'd do anything anyway. All they do is after helpless old men in a wheelchair.
What's this? Daddy!
Go ahead, we're not going.
No, Dad. What is your name?
Who?
Britt.
What?
What's this? Come over here. What's this?
Dang, you hit the turbo boost.
He about twisted his hand off too. Did you see his hand? Went all the way down.
You hit the turbo boost. I think your dad did that earlier today on the way back.
Why?
Didn't you?
Why?
He did, man.
Picked it up to about 105.
Why?
Because he wanted a turbo.
Had to clean the pipes out.
Yeah.
Keep them injectors clean.
Yeah.
I hit the turbo.
Yeah, but you're sitting still. Just think if you hit it out there going around the corner, you go, boom.
There you go, Blake.
Did you hit that?
From the back.
It's violet over
Better run your mouth.
here.
Back door booty.
When you going to the thingy?
Whenever. Try to take
I
another
gotta-
way and ride a couple rides.
I gotta go back to my cell, man.
Cool.
What's this?
You're pegging it.
What?
Pegging it, making it go all the way. That's what pegging it means. Right?
Well, certainly nice meeting you.
Definitely, man.
Be careful.
Got to.
Yeah.
All I can do is die. You know what I'm saying?
You got plenty more time left.
Well, I can't wait till they stick me in this living center. You know what I'm saying? With all these old people. You know what I mean? They're gonna love it.
To the carnival again.
They might.
I'm I'm gonna make every damn one of them laugh. That's all I'm gonna
There you
do,
go.
man.
There you go.
No, you're not.
There you
You're
go.
not taking roadie.